You know that feeling, right? You're just scrolling, maybe flicking through something, or heck, just chatting with a friend, and then you see it or hear it. That picture-perfect life snapshot. That thing someone achieved that looks so easy.
Yeah, the highlight reel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And suddenly, everything you're doing, everything you have, just feels, I don't know, less.
Yeah.
Less than.
That sort of heavy feeling.
Yeah, like a tightening in your chest. And this little voice, or maybe it's not so little, just goes, wow, look at them. Look what you haven't done. It's that sting, isn't it? The comparison sting. And honestly, for so many of us, it feels like this trap we just can't get out of, draining.
That feeling you're nailing right there, that whole thing of measuring ourselves against others, and let's be honest, usually feeling like we don't quite measure up.
Yeah.
It's so common. And that's exactly what we want to dig into today, the stress it creates, this comparison thing, and how it really can make you feel, well, stuck. Like you can't just enjoy your own life, your own path.
And it feels worse now, doesn't it? Yeah. With just the sheer amount of curated perfection everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. It's amplified, no question. That feeling of being perpetually, not quite good enough against this nonstop stream of better than, it's relentless.
So what are we doing today? How do we unpack this?
Right. So our mission, let's call it for this deep dive, is to really understand why. Where does this stress actually come from? We've looked at some really fascinating sources.
Okay.
We'll touch on the psychology behind why we even do this comparing thing in the first place. And then, and this is really interesting, we'll explore an ancient philosophy.
Ancient, like really old.
Yeah, really old. But you'd be surprised how practical it is. It offers some incredibly profound ways to handle this very modern problem, to find, a real sense of calm that's actually yours, your unique path.
Finding your way out of the trap by understanding it first.
Exactly. You need to see the bars before you can find the door.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's dive in. Where do we start? The basics. What is comparison, fundamentally?
Okay, so fundamentally, the sources are pretty clear. Comparing ourselves to others, it's just a basic human thing. We're kind of wired for it in a way.
Hardwired.
Yeah. And the type that usually causes the most trouble, the most stress, is what psychologists call upward social comparison.
Upward, meaning?
Meaning we look at someone we see as being, well, better off than us. Maybe
Right.
they have more achievements, nicer stuff, higher status, seem happier, look better, you name it.
So we're not usually looking down the ladder thinking I'm doing better than them. It's looking up.
Generally, yes. The distress usually comes from looking up. And when we do that, when we make that upward comparison, a really powerful emotion often talks up. Envy.
Envy.
Yeah.
The green-eyed monster.
That's the one. And our sources define it quite precisely. Envy is that feeling you get when someone else has something. Could be an object, a quality, an achievement, anything really that you want but you don't have.
That longing feeling. I wish I had that.
Exactly. It's that desire for what they've got or what they've done.
Okay, but people mix this up with jealousy all the time, don't they? I know I probably do.
Oh, constantly. It's super common, but the distinction, and the sources point this out, is actually pretty key to understanding what's going on emotionally.
Okay, lay it on me. Envy versus jealousy.
So envy, like we said, is about wanting something someone else has that you lack. Two entities, you and them. Jealousy, that's different. It involves three. There's usually a rival involved.
A rival.
Yeah, and jealousy isn't about lacking something. It's about the fear of losing something you already possess, usually something valuable, often in a relationship.
Okay. Like you're worried your friend likes someone else more, or your partner might leave you for someone else. You're jealous because you fear losing what you have.
Precisely that. You fear a rival taking something that belongs to you, in a sense. And it's interesting, the sources note that people often say jealous when they really mean envious, but you almost never hear it the other way around.
Huh. That's true, actually. You don't usually say, I'm envious my partner is cheating. You'd say, jealous. Okay, that distinction really helps. So that uncomfortable feeling from the comparison trap, seeing the amazing vacation pic, the big promotion, and feeling bad, that's envy. Wanting what they have, feeling like I lack it.
Almost always, yes. That's the envy pang. And interestingly, research actually breaks envy down further into two types. This is also pretty important for understanding the stress.
Two types of envy.
Okay, there's benign envy, and then there's malicious envy.
Benign. Sounds like the good kind, or at least less bad.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It can be less harmful, even motivating sometimes. Benign envy is when you see someone else's success and it makes you want to improve yourself to reach their level.
So it's like inspiration.
Exactly. You see someone achieve something amazing and think, wow, that's cool. It shows me what's possible. Maybe I can work harder, learn from them, aim for something like that too. There's no negativity towards the other person. Their success is proof, a challenge to lift your own game.
Okay, so that type might still feel a bit uncomfortable, maybe frustrating.
Yeah.
But it's not that heavy, toxic feeling of the comparison trap. It could actually push you forward.
Precisely. It's striving, but without the resentment. Now, malicious envy, that is the one that really feels like the painful, stressful comparison trap we're talking about.
Malicious. Sounds bad.
It is. This isn't about wanting to be like the other person. It's about wanting to pull them down.
Oof.
Yeah. Instead of getting inspired, you resent their success. You might find yourself criticizing them, maybe secretly, maybe openly. You might even wish they'd fail or feel a little flicker of satisfaction if something bad does happen to them.
Wow, that's dark. Wishing someone ill just because they have something you want.
Yeah.
That definitely sounds like the kind of feeling that traps you in negativity.
It's a heavy burden to carry, for sure. And interestingly, the sources also mention the other side of this coin, the fear of being envied yourself.
People worry about others being envious of them.
Sometimes, yeah. And it's usually not about benign envy. Most people don't mind inspiring others. The fear is about triggering malicious envy in someone else.
Ah, because malicious envy wants to pull you down.
Exactly. If you think someone is maliciously envious of you, you might worry about them trying to sabotage you or gossip about you or just generally direct negativity your way. It's unsettling.
Okay, that makes total sense. So the real stress of the comparison trap, the really painful part, seems to be driven by this upward comparison leading to malicious envy, wanting what others have, feeling bad because you don't, and maybe even worrying about others feeling that way about you.
It's a tangled web, isn't it? A lot of difficult emotions swirling around. So now let's get into the roots. Why? Why does this comparison stuff, especially the upward malicious kind, cause so much stress and unhappiness? This is where Stoic philosophy comes in. Thinkers like Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, they had some powerful insights.
This Stoicism, I know the name, but isn't that about, like, not showing emotion, just being tough?
That's a common misconception, actually. It's much more nuanced. It's about understanding emotion and managing it through reason. And one of their core ideas, maybe the most important one, is this absolute distinction between what's in our control and what's outside our control.
Okay, the dichotomy of control. I think I've heard that.
Yes. Epictetus really hammered this home. He argued that most of our suffering, our mental distress, comes from messing this up, from focusing our energy, our desires, our fears on things that are ultimately not up to us.
And comparing ourselves.
Yeah.
Looking at someone else's fancy job, their perfect relationship, their follower count. That's all definitely outside our control.
Completely. You can't control your colleague's promotion. You can't control how popular someone else's online profile is. You can't control the lucky break someone else gets. Their wealth, their reputation, not in your hands.
Right.
So when your self-worth, your feeling of being good enough, your whole idea of a successful life gets tied up in how you stack up against those things.
Mm-hmm.
You're building on shaky ground. You're pouring all your mental energy into stuff you just can't steer. And that powerlessness, that's a huge source of stress, anxiety, frustration.
It's like trying to win a race by just staring obsessively at the other runners, but having zero control over how fast they run or if they trip. Your focus is totally off, and you feel helpless about the outcome you desperately want, which is being better than them.
That's a fantastic analogy. Totally misplaced effort, total recipe for distress. And the Stoics took it even further. They said our negative emotions, anxiety, resentment, feeling inadequate from comparison often come from making faulty judgments about value.
Faulty judgments. How so?
We mistakenly label things as good or bad when, from a Stoic view, they're actually indifferent. Things like wealth, health, reputation, other people's opinions, even pleasure or pain. These are externals.
Wait, health and pleasure are indifferent? That sounds weird.
Well, they'd say they're preferred indifference. Like, yeah, it's generally better to be healthy than sick, wealthy than poor, but these things don't determine your moral worth. They don't make you a fundamentally good or bad person.
Okay, I see. They're preferable, but not the ultimate measure of a good life or a good person.
Exactly. But society, and especially comparison, constantly screams the opposite, right? It tells us having money is good, being famous is good, being admired is good. And if you don't have those things, well, you're falling short. You're not good enough.
Yeah, comparison absolutely feeds that belief that you need the bigger house, the better job title, the recognition to be happy or successful.
Precisely. And believing that creates these intense cravings, wanting those externals and intense fears, fear of not getting them, fear of losing them if you do. And these desires and fears are all tangled up with things outside your control. For the Stoics, that's the root of emotional turmoil. By valuing externals as the ultimate good or bad, we basically become slaves to luck and slaves to what other people have or do.
So hang on. My stress isn't actually caused by my friend's amazing new job, but by my judgment that their job is good, and therefore my current job, in comparison, must be not good enough.
You've got it. That's the core insight. Epictetus said it, Marcus Aurelius echoed it. Men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinions about the things. Seeing the job announcement, that's just a thing that happened, an external event, neutral. The stress, the inadequacy, that comes from your opinion, your judgment. Their success means I'm failing, or their life is objectively better, or I should be there by now. The pain is in the interpretation, not the event itself.
It feels like our brains are almost set up to make these judgments, even before, Instagram made it 1,000 times worse.
Well, there's definitely something to that from an evolutionary perspective. Our brains evolved with a negativity bias.
Negativity bias.
Yeah, a tendency to focus more on potential threats, on what's wrong. Back in the day, that helped us survive, right? Spot the danger quickly. Comparison also played a role in tribal life, figuring out your status, your place in the group, access to resources. It had survival advantages. So we have this kind of built-in tendency to look for threats, including where we might fall short compared to others.
But then, boom, social media happens.
And it throws gasoline on that ancient fire. Our sources really highlight this. Before, who did you compare yourself to? Your neighbors, maybe colleagues, people in your town. A limited pool.
Right.
Now, it's instant, constant access to a global highlight reel. Billions of people potentially showcasing their absolute best moments. Filtered, curated, perfected.
We're seeing the shiny tip of everyone else's iceberg and comparing it to our own entire messy underwater iceberg.
That's a perfect way to put it. And this nonstop flood of seemingly perfect externals just makes that upward comparison so much easier, so much more frequent, so much more intense. It overwhelms our old wiring. And as the Lemonade source points out, it directly fuels those feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, that constant stress of not measuring up that feels so common today. It's our old bias meeting this hypercharged digital world.
Okay. So if the stress comes from focusing on externals we don't control, judging them wrongly, and having our biases amplified,
Right.
what's the escape hatch? How do we get off this hamster wheel and find that calm, that unique path you mentioned?
Right. This is where Stoicism really shines. It's not just about diagnosing the problem. It's about providing the tools, the practices. And the core antidote comes right back to that first principle we talked about, shifting your focus radically inward.
Focusing only on what's in my control.
Only on what's in your control, your judgments, your opinions, your intentions, your actions, your responses, basically your inner world, your character.
So not the outcome, but my effort. Not what they have, but how I react.
Exactly. Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, they couldn't stress this enough. Your life might be tough externally. Other people might seem to have it all. But your inner landscape, how you choose to see things, the values you decide to live by, the integrity you bring to your actions, that is your domain, your sovereign territory. That's where your real power is. You can't control the storm, but you can control how you steer the ship.
So when I see that post, that thing that usually makes my stomach drop, I can't make the post disappear, but I can choose how I judge it, how I react inside.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The Stoics loved metaphors for this. The sources mention one like a voodoo doll. Imagine you're the doll, and external events, other people's successes, things that happen to you are like pins or strings attached to you.
Yeah.
You only feel the pain, the distress, if you allow those strings to pull you around, if you react to the pins. Your mind, your reaction, your internal state, that's where you decide whether the pin pricks or not. The goal is to stop letting those external pulls dictate your inner peace. Don't let them yank you into feeling inadequate or resentful.
Wow, that puts the control right back on me, doesn't it? It's not the pin, it's my reaction to the pin.
Exactly. It shifts the agency. Another great one from the sources is the archer metaphor. Think about an archer. What's their job?
Shoot the arrow, hit the target.
Well, Yes, but what part can they actually control? They can control selecting the best arrow, checking the bow, their stance, how smoothly they draw the string, their aim, their breath, the release, all of that process, that's in their control.
Okay. The technique, the preparation, the shot itself.
Right. But whether the arrow hits the dead center, whether a sudden gust of wind blows it off course just slightly, whether the target collapses unexpectedly, that final outcome, not entirely up to the archer.
Ah, I see where this is going. Applying that to life,
Yeah.
my effort, my intentions, my choices, how I handle things, that's me shooting the arrow.
That's your process. That's within your control.
But the outcome, whether I get the promotion, whether my project is praised, whether I look as successful as someone else that's the arrow hitting the bullseye, which isn't guaranteed, not fully in my control.
Precisely. And the comparison trap, it gets us obsessed with the target. Did I hit it? More importantly, did I hit it better than they did? The Stoic approach pulls your focus right back to perfecting your shot, perfecting your process, because that's the only part you truly own.
This has to lead to a totally different way of thinking about success then. If comparing external outcomes is flawed and stressful, what is success?
It has to be something else. Absolutely. And this is huge in Stoicism. The good life, they called it eudaimonia, which is more like human flourishing, deep well-being, not just temporary happiness.
Okay, eudaimonia.
That doesn't come from piling up external stuff or climbing over others. It comes from living in sync with your best self, by cultivating arte,
Aripe.
often translated as virtue or excellence of character. Basically, developing wisdom, understanding what's truly good, bad, or indifferent, justice, treating others fairly, courage, facing challenges with integrity, and self-discipline, managing your desires and reactions.
So success isn't about having more stuff than the next person or getting more likes. It's about being the best version of yourself inside, regardless of what happens outside.
That's the core of it. Living virtuously with character, that standard of success, it's entirely internal, entirely within your power. And when that's your benchmark, comparison just loses its teeth. It can't really disturb you in the same way. The Lemonade source echoes this beautifully for today, redefining success based on your priorities. Inner peace, personal growth, meaningful connections, making a difference, setting your own goals, honoring your path, knowing it's unique.
Because everyone's path is totally different. Different starting lines, different obstacles, different strengths. Trying to compare them seems kind of absurd when you think about it.
It really is. Epictetus talked about this using the idea of roles. We all have different roles to play in life's drama. Parent, child, friend, employee, citizen, whatever they are for you. The Stoic job is to focus on playing your assigned roles well. That means acting with virtue, with wisdom, justice, courage, self-discipline within the specific demands and circumstances of your roles.
So if my role right now is struggling artist trying to pay rent, comparing myself to someone inheriting millions, it's not just unhelpful. It's actively distracting me from playing my role well, with integrity, given my circumstances.
Exactly. Focus on excelling within the unique script you've been given. Address your challenges. Seize your opportunities. That naturally keeps your energy on your own journey, less likely to get lost staring at someone else's play.
And a lot of comparison seems fueled by needing other people to approve, right? Wanting them to see us as successful, to validate us.
Oh, definitely. And the Stoics, they saw that as a trap too. Seeking fame, status, approval from others, that's a form of slavery.
Slavery. Strong word.
Because it puts your happiness, your sense of worth, directly into other people's hands. If you need their applause to feel good, you've given them power over your inner state and their opinions, totally outside your control. The Stoic goal is freedom, resilience. That means being independent of what others think.
So living for the likes makes you a slave to the algorithm, essentially.
You could say that. The Stoic ideal is that virtue is its own reward. Doing the right thing, acting with integrity, doesn't need external validation. The source mentioned that coach, Bruno. His goal wasn't fame or admiration. It was just to be a good ethical coach, the respect he got. That was a side effect, a bonus, not the target. His own internal compass was the guide.
Okay, detaching from needing that external thumbs up, defining success internally by character, focusing on my unique roles. That feels like a really solid way to start dismantling this comparison trap.
It's a powerful foundation. And building on that, there are several, practical mindsets and techniques the sources highlight, straight from Stoic practice. One big one is mastering your judgments.
Back to Epictetus again. Not the things, but the opinions about the things.
That's the one. It takes constant practice, but it's incredibly freeing, remember. External events, seeing someone else succeed, facing your own setback, they're neutral. They have no inherent power to make you feel bad. It's your interpretation, your judgment about the event that slaps the label on it. This is good for them, therefore bad for me. Or, this proves I'm not good enough. Comparison runs on these judgments, judging their externals, wealth, status, as good, and your lack of them as bad.
So the practice is to try and see the thing itself without automatically adding my story or value judgment onto it.
Exactly. Marcus Aurelius actually did this. He'd take something impressive, like fancy wine or a royal robe, and break it down. The wine, just fermented grape juice. The robe, just sheep's wool dyed with shellfish guts.
Takes the glamour out of it.
It does. By stripping away the social status, the hype, he saw the objective reality. It helps you see the externals others have, not as magic talismans of worth, but just as things. A fancy car is metal and glass. A job title is a label. A follower count is the number. Seeing it objectively helps drain the emotional charge, stops that automatic judgment that fuels the comparison pain.
That sounds like it requires a lot of awareness. Like you have to catch yourself doing it.
Absolutely. Which leads perfectly to the next key practice, prosoche. It basically means attention, mindfulness, awareness, continuous vigilance over your own mind.
Watching your thoughts.
Watching your thoughts, your impressions, your judgments as they pop up before they drag you away. Without that awareness, those automatic comparison thoughts, they have X, I don't, therefore I suck, they just run the show. They trigger the stress instantly.
So prosoche is like the mental pause button.
Yeah.
It lets you catch the judgment in the act.
Exactly. It's that critical space between the trigger, seeing the comparison, and your usual reaction, feeling bad. The source had that funny toilet paper anecdote, remember? You change the role and you automatically expect thanks or feel annoyed if you don't get it. Awareness lets you see that expectation forming. Then you can step back, apply reason, hey, being helpful is the point, not getting thanked, and stop the annoyance before it blooms. Same with comparison. Awareness lets you catch, wow, they're successful, I'm not, before it fully sinks in as painful inadequacy. It gives you that split second to question the judgment itself.
Like installing a filter on your incoming thoughts, but you're the one operating the filter.
That's a great way to think about it. Training yourself to observe thoughts, not just be swept away by them. Maybe asking, okay, what would a wise person do here? Or just taking a breath. That pause gives you room to choose a rational response instead of the knee-jerk comparison reaction.
What about just accepting things? Comparison feels like fighting reality sometimes. I wish my reality looked like their reality.
And fighting reality for the Stoics is just guaranteed suffering. Wishing things were different, resisting what is, it just breeds frustration. Stoic acceptance isn't about liking a bad situation or giving up. It's about acknowledging the facts on the ground right now, because that's the only place you can start moving forward from. Comparison keeps measuring your actual present against someone else's curated past highlight, making it impossible to find peace with where you are.
And the idea that everything changes. Impermanence. Does that fit in?
Hugely. Contemplating impermanence, memento mori, remember death, yes, but also seeing everything external as temporary, borrowed. That's crucial. If wealth, status, looks, possessions, even relationships are all fleeting here today, maybe gone tomorrow, then their power to define you or cause pain through comparison shrinks dramatically. Why get so worked up about not having what someone else has if it's all just on loan anyway?
Like Epictetus and the fig in winter.
Yes. Perfect example. You can desperately want a fresh fig. But if it's winter, tough luck. Raging against winter because someone else had figs last summer. Pointless. You accept the season you're in. You accept what's available now. Applied to comparison. Accept the season of your life with its unique features instead of endlessly craving the figs someone else is showing off from their different season.
Okay, so accept reality, remember things change, and manage expectations. Comparison seems to thrive on unmet expectations. I should be further along.
Exactly. Managing expectations is key. A lot of negative feelings, including that sharp sting of comparison, come from unrealistic ideas about how life should be, what you should have achieved, how you should measure up. And here the Stoics have a counterintuitive tool, negative visualization.
Negative visualization. Sounds, well, negative.
It sounds grim, but the goal isn't misery, it's preparation. Regularly, intentionally think about things going wrong. Imagine losing your job, your possessions, people's approval.
Why would I do that to myself?
Because by mentally rehearsing loss, you reduce the power those things have over you. If you've already contemplated not having that level of success or not owning those things that comparison makes you crave, then seeing others with them doesn't hit as hard. And if you do face a setback, you're less shocked, less devastated. It builds resilience. It keeps your expectations grounded about externals, so they have less power to hurt you through comparison.
Preparing for the worst makes anything less than that feel manageable, or even like a bonus.
Exactly. Softens the blow. And while the focus is so much on the internal, the sources do mention something that might seem slightly contradictory, but isn't, if done right, counting your blessings.
Gratitude. How does that work without getting attached or even comparing downwards? Like, well, at least I have this.
It's a fine line. Marcus Aurelius suggested that when things are tough, remembering what you do, have simple things, basic needs, people you care about, can bring perspective and gratitude. It shifts focus from lack. But, and this is the Stoic twist, you have to remember not to cling to those blessings. Recognize they are also external, also temporary.
So appreciate them, but don't base my worth on them.
Precisely. Gratitude is good, but understanding their impermanence stops you from getting attached in a way that leads to suffering if they disappear, or from using them as just another comparison point. It's gratitude without the desperate grip.
Okay, gratitude with awareness. Got it.
Yeah.
Now, what about dealing with actual other people, not just their Instagram feed, but face to face? Their success, maybe their judgments, or just difficult people when we're feeling vulnerable.
Stoicism has advice there too. One strategy is trying to cultivate understanding, maybe even forgiveness or pity towards people whose behavior bothers you or triggers your comparison stress. Try to recognize their actions might come from their own ignorance, their own faulty judgments, their own struggles. Epictetus said something like, "It seems so to him." They're acting based on their limited, maybe flawed view of reality.
So maybe they're not deliberately trying to make me feel bad. They're just operating from their own style.
Often, yeah. From a Stoic viewpoint, their actions reflect their internal state, which you don't control and probably don't fully grasp. Trying to see things from their perspective, the sources use that powerful train anecdote, remember? Judging the dad harshly, then learning the mom just died. Judgment evaporates into empathy.
Right, that changes everything.
That same shift can happen. Maybe the person whose success bothers you sacrificed hugely, or is deeply unhappy underneath. Empathy shifts your focus from resentful comparison to a more compassionate, less self-involved space.
That makes sense.
What else? Choose your company wisely. Seneca, Epictetus, they both stressed hanging out with people who lift you up, who inspire you towards virtue, not those who drag you into negativity, gossip, or more comparison.
Surround yourself with growth, not drains.
Basically, yeah, your environment matters. Also, try to listen with the real goal of understanding, not just waiting to talk or judge. And crucially, when dealing with insults or criticism, comparison makes us super sensitive to practice choosing your response.
Don't just lash out or crumble.
Right. You have choices. Humor, silence, analyze it. Is it true? If yes, maybe learn from it. If no, why let a falsehood disturb your peace? Marcus Aurelius said, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. The insult is external, letting it wound you. That's your choice. Don't give their opinions that power, just like you don't give their success that power.
That requires serious mental muscle.
It does. It's practice, like a boxer keeping their guard up. And maybe the most powerful thing, focus on living by example, Marcus Aurelius again. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Stop dwelling on others. Stop comparing. Just focus your energy on being the best you can be, acting with integrity. Your actions are your path.
It all comes back to that internal focus, doesn't it? Character and virtue is the core.
It really does. And looking at life this way even changes how we see challenges, which comparison often makes seem like proof of our failure.
How does it change challenges? Comparison makes my struggles feel huge when I see someone else seemingly sailing through.
Exactly. But Stoicism says challenges aren't bugs, they're features. Life is supposed to be challenging. Difficulties aren't unfortunate accidents blocking your path, they are the path. They're necessary for growth, for showing character. Seneca, Epictetus, they saw challenges as opportunities.
Opportunities to build resilience.
To test and strengthen yourself. Remember Hercules. Epictetus loved that example. Hercules became mighty because he faced those insane labors, those monsters. Without the struggle, he'd just be some guy. Difficulties are the gym where you exercise your choices, practice courage, apply wisdom. As Marcus Aurelius put it, what stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle itself, met rightly, is the path forward. It's the chance to practice virtue.
Seeing a problem not as a wall, but as the weight I need to lift to get stronger.
Exactly, and sometimes just zooming out helps. Taking that cosmic perspective Marcus Aurelius practiced, thinking about the vastness of time and space. Suddenly, your problems, the things you're comparing yourself over, seem pretty tiny, pretty temporary. Realizing that your struggles are often the same old things humans have dealt with forever, it can bring perspective, lessen the emotional grip.
Grounds you, reminds you you're part of something bigger and this too shall pass kind of thing.
It does. And one last piece, which might seem counter to the inward focus, but isn't really: community. The sources remind us it's important.
We need other people.
Yeah. Stoics like Musonius Rufus and Marcus Aurelius saw humans as social creatures, like bees in a hive. Our well-being is connected to the common good, to helping each other. That's a powerful antidote to the isolation comparison can create, where you feel like you're the only one struggling or feeling inadequate.
And the Lemonade Source brought that up too, right? Connecting with others today.
Absolutely. Sharing experiences, struggles, small wins with supportive people who get the pressures of comparison, it's incredibly helpful, supporting each other towards self-acceptance. And learning to genuinely celebrate others' wins without immediately making it about you and where you rank, that fosters support, not just rivalry.
That feels like a really healthy shift from competition to connection.
It aligns perfectly with the Stoic idea of working for the common good. It directs energy outwards constructively, away from the self-focused negativity of comparison.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up. We've gone deep into this comparison trap, seen how it's this basic human thing, often upward comparison leading to envy, especially the malicious kind, and how modern life, especially social media, just pours fuel on it.
And we saw the stress comes mainly from focusing on externals we can't control and making faulty judgments about their value, linking them mistakenly to our self-worth.
Right. But then we explored this really practical path, drawing a lot from Stoicism to find calm and build resilience against that stress. It's about this radical shift inwards.
Focusing your energy, your definition of success, entirely on what you can control. Your judgments, your actions, your character, your inner world.
Redefining success, not by comparing yourself to anyone else's curated life, but by cultivating your own virtue, living by your values, and doing your best in your unique situation on your unique path.
And using those practical tools, mastering judgments by seeing things objectively, cultivating that moment-to-moment awareness prosocial, to catch those automatic thoughts, accepting reality, understanding impermanence, managing expectations, and interacting with others from a place of understanding and chosen response.
And seeing challenges not as failures, but as the necessary friction for growth, the opportunity to practice being your best self.
Exactly. And doing all this while recognizing we're still social beings who benefit from connection, mutual support, and contributing positively. It's really about taking back your power, your peace, by anchoring yourself firmly in your internal character instead of being blown around by external comparisons and validation.
So, if the Stoics have it right, if your character, your inner state, is the only real measure of a good life, and everything else, the money, the status, what people think, their shiny lives online, if all that is ultimately indifferent to who you really are, what does that mean for you listening right now? What specific comparison, what stress have you been holding on to that maybe, just maybe, you could loosen your grip on starting today? What one small action based purely on your values, your unique path, could you take to practice that freedom?
Definitely something to think about, isn't it? As you continue your own deep dive, finding your own way to live a more fulfilling life, truly on your own terms.